The research vessel Horizon drifted silently through the Kuiper Belt, its sophisticated sensors probing the darkness between worlds. Captain Maya Rodriguez stood at the bridge's observation window, her dark eyes fixed on the distant stars. 20 years of deep space exploration had taught her that the universe rarely gave up its secrets easily, but something about this mission felt different. "Captain, we're picking up something unusual," Lieutenant Park called from his station, his fingers dancing across the holographic interface. "It's like nothing I've ever seen before." Maya moved swiftly to his console, studying the readings. The signal was faint but distinct, a perfectly ordered sequence of prime numbers repeating in a pattern that could only be artificial. "Location: coming from Object 2047X, Park replied, bringing up a visual. The rocky body looked unremarkable at first glance. Just another chunk of ice and stone in the vast belt of debris that marked the edge of human space. But as the sensors focused, they revealed something that made Maya's breath catch in her throat. Embedded in the rock face was a structure, geometric, precise, and decidedly not natural. Its surface seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly iridescence, defying the absolute zero temperatures of deep space. "Get me Dr. Wells," Maya ordered, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. This was it, the moment every deep space explorer dreamed of but few ever experienced. Dr. Alexandra Wells, the Horizon's chief xenorchaeologist, arrived on the bridge minutes later, her silver hair disheveled from sleep. One look at the readings had her fully alert. "It's a beacon," she breathed, her eyes wide with wonder. "And it's active." The next 12 hours were a blur of activity. The crew deployed probes, ran countless scans, and debated their next move. The beacon's energy signature was unlike anything in human databases, utilizing principles that seemed to defy known physics. Whatever built this wanted to be found, Dr. Wells concluded during the emergency staff meeting. "The question is, why now? This object has been in our solar system for millennia, but it only activated when we approached." Before Maya could respond, the ship's AI interrupted. "Captain, the beacon's energy output is increasing exponentially." The bridge crew watched in stunned silence as the structure began to pulse with brilliant blue light. Streams of data flooded their systems, overwhelming their processors. Then, without warning, space itself seemed to fold. A massive ship materialized before them, emerging from what appeared to be a tear in reality. It dwarfed the horizon, its hull covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. 3 smaller vessels flanked it, taking up defensive positions. "Multiple contacts," Lieutenant Park reported, his voice tense. "They're scanning us." Maya straightened her uniform. First contact protocols had been drilled into every Space Force captain, but theory was one thing, reality quite another. "Open all frequencies," she ordered. "Let's introduce ourselves." The response was immediate. A hologram materialized on the bridge, a being unlike anything humanity had imagined. It stood nearly 3 meters tall, its form seemingly composed of crystalline structures that caught and reflected light in mesmerizing ways. When it spoke, its words were translated instantly by an unseen mechanism. "Greetings, humans of Earth. We are the Consortium, and we have been waiting a very long time for this moment." The being's tone was pleasant, but carried an unmistakable note of condescension, like an adult addressing a particularly precocious child. "Your species has finally developed sufficient technology to activate our beacon. This marks you as ready for limited interaction." Maya felt a slight bristle at the patronizing tone, but maintained her diplomatic composure. "We are honored to make your acquaintance. I am Captain Maya Rodriguez of the Earth research vessel Horizon." The crystalline being's form shimmed slightly. "Yes, we know who you are. We know everything about your species. We have been watching your development for quite some time. Your progress has been interesting, if somewhat concerning in its speed and direction." Dr. Wells stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overriding protocol. "You've been studying us. For how long? Since your first nuclear detonation, the being replied. It caught our attention. A rather crude but effective announcement of your technological awakening. We are the guardians of this sector of space, tasked with monitoring developing species and ensuring they do not adversely affect the cosmic harmony. Maya recognized the implications immediately. This wasn't just first contact. This was humanity being put on notice. The consortium hadn't revealed themselves out of scientific interest or diplomatic goodwill. They were here to establish boundaries. We have much to discuss, the being continued. Your species stands at a crucial juncture. The path forward requires guidance, careful supervision. We will ensure your integration into the greater galactic community proceeds at an appropriate pace. As Maya listened to the being outline various restrictions and regulations that would be imposed on human expansion and technological development, she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The consortium's apparent benevolence felt hollow, their concern artificial. What she couldn't know then was that this moment, this first contact, would set in motion a chain of events that would challenge not just humanity's place in the cosmos, but the very foundations of galactic civilization. The silent stars had finally spoken, but their message was not what anyone expected. And in the depths of space, watching this historic encounter unfold, other eyes were watching. Eyes that saw in humanity something the consortium had missed entirely. 6 months after first contact, the landscape of human civilization had changed dramatically. The consortium's presence was now a constant reality, their crystalline ships maintaining a permanent vigil in Earth's orbit. Their guidance came in the form of strict regulations that felt more like chains than protection. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in her underground laboratory at the Lunar Research Institute, staring at data readings that shouldn't exist. According to the consortium's carefully curated scientific database, their gift to humanity, what she was seeing was impossible. Run it again, she ordered her AI assistant, AI. The holographic display flickered, showing the same anomalous pattern in the quantum field measurements. Something was coming, something massive, and it was bending space-time in ways that defied the consortium's supposedly complete understanding of physics. Dr. Chen, AI's calm voice interrupted her thoughts. Consortium representatives are requesting entry to the facility. Sarah quickly encrypted her findings and activated the quantum storage protocols she'd developed in secret. Let them in. The laboratory door slid open to reveal 2 consortium observers, their crystalline forms somehow more imposing in the confined space of the lunar facility. Behind them stood Marcus Reed, the human liaison assigned to facilitate their oversight. Dr. Chen. The taller of the 2 beings addressed her, its voice carrying that familiar tone of benevolent superiority. We've detected unusual energy signatures from your facility. Your research appears to have strayed beyond approved parameters. Sarah maintained a carefully neutral expression. We're conducting standard quantum field studies within established guidelines, Observer Kelax. The crystalline being's surface rippled in what she'd learned to recognize as skepticism. Perhaps we should review your research protocols. For your own safety, of course. The quantum realm can be dangerous for developing species to explore too deeply. As the observers began their inspection, Marcus caught Sarah's eye, giving her an almost imperceptible nod. Like many in the scientific community, he'd grown increasingly suspicious of the consortium's motivations. Their protection seemed more focused on limiting human advancement than fostering it. Hours later, after the observers had finally departed, satisfied they'd found nothing overtly prohibited, Sarah received an encrypted message from Marcus. Midnight. The old observatory. The lunar observatory had been abandoned shortly after first contact, deemed redundant given the consortium's superior astronomical technology. Its isolation made it perfect for clandestine meetings. They're hiding something big, Marcus said without preamble as Sarah entered the dusty facility. I've been compiling data from across different oversight sectors. The consortium's behavior doesn't match their stated mission. Sarah shared her own findings, showing him the encrypted data from her quantum field studies. Something's approaching from the direction of the galactic core. The space-time distortions are increasing exponentially, but the consortium is actively suppressing any research that might detect it. It gets worse, Marcus added, pulling up his own data. They're not just here to guide us. They've been systematically blocking specific areas of human technological development, particularly anything related to quantum consciousness integration or neural physics. The exact fields that might help us understand what's coming. Sarah concluded, the implications sending a chill down her spine. Their discussion was interrupted by a soft chime, an unauthorized transmission on a frequency they'd never encountered before. A hologram materialized in the center of the room, revealing a being unlike the crystalline forms they'd grown accustomed to. This one was fluid, almost organic in appearance. "My name is Tara," the being said, its voice carrying none of the consortium's condescension. Was a scientist within the consortium. What you've discovered, you're right. They're not protecting you. They're containing you." Over the next hour, Sarah revealed a truth that shattered everything they thought they knew. The approaching anomaly was no natural phenomenon. It was a quantum entity that had already consumed several galaxies. The consortium had failed to stop it, and their rigid, crystalline consciousness couldn't even perceive it properly. "But humans can," Sarah explained. "Your quantum neural architecture, your capacity for abstract thought, and pattern recognition, it makes you uniquely suited to both detect and potentially interact with the entity. That's why they're really here. Not to protect you, but to prevent you from realizing your true potential until it's too late." "Why tell us this?" Sarah asked, though she already suspected the answer. "Because the anomaly is approaching faster than the consortium's models predicted. We have months, not years, and if humanity doesn't realize its potential in time, this galaxy will share the fate of all the others." As the hologram faded, Sarah and Marcus shared a look of grim determination. They had to find a way to warn Earth and prepare for what was coming, all while keeping their knowledge hidden from the consortium's watchful eyes. The silent stars were indeed speaking, but their message was far darker than anyone had imagined, and humanity's response would need to be nothing short of extraordinary. The secret spread like wildfire through carefully encrypted quantum channels, a shadow network of human resistance growing right under the consortium's crystalline noses. 3 months after Sarah's warning, humanity had transformed itself from within, all while maintaining a carefully crafted facade of compliance. Admiral James Chen, Sarah's father and the head of Earth's Space Defense Force, stood in the hidden command center deep beneath the Mariana Trench. The facility, built decades ago as a contingency against alien invasion, had proven prescient. Around him, hundreds of officers and scientists worked tirelessly, their activities shielded from the consortium's sensors by advanced quantum dampening fields, technology developed using insights from Sarah's data. "Status report," he demanded, his weathered face illuminated by the holographic displays showing humanity's secret preparations. Colonel Diana Martinez, his second in command, stepped forward. "Phase 1 is complete, sir. The quantum consciousness amplifiers have been successfully distributed to all major population centers. As far as the consortium knows, they're just improved communication nodes. And the neural network, online and growing stronger every day." Dr. Chen's theory was correct. Human consciousness, when properly linked, can perceive and interact with quantum-level phenomena in ways the consortium's crystalline biology cannot. James nodded, allowing himself a moment of paternal pride. Sarah's breakthrough had been the key to everything. While the consortium saw human consciousness as primitive and limited, she had discovered its true potential: the ability to perceive and manipulate the quantum fabric of reality through collective thought. In her Lumiere lab, Sarah continued her official research under consortium supervision, while secretly coordinating humanity's greatest project. The quantum neural network she designed was allowing humans worldwide to share consciousness in carefully controlled bursts, each connection strengthening their collective ability to detect and influence quantum states. Another inspection team incoming. HFY warned as Sarah quickly shifted her displays to show approved research data. The consortium observer who entered was different this time. Larger, its crystalline form more intricately patterned. High Commander Zelax, the regional overseer himself. Dr. Chen. His translated voice carried an edge of suspicion. Our sensors have detected unusual neural activity patterns across human population centers. Would you care to explain? Sarah had prepared for this moment. We believe it's a natural evolution of human consciousness, High Commander. Our species has always been highly social and interconnected. The introduction of your advanced communication technology has simply accelerated our natural development. Zelax's form pulsed with what might have been concern. Perhaps we were premature in sharing certain technologies. Your species' development must be carefully controlled to prevent unfortunate incidents. As if on cue, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. On every screen, sensor readings spiked dramatically. The quantum anomaly had arrived ahead of even Sarah's predictions. Zelax's reaction was immediate and revealing. His crystalline form vibrated with what could only be described as panic. Impossible. Our calculations were wrong. Sarah finished for him, dropping all pretense. Just like you were wrong about humanity. The quantum neural network activated globally in that moment, billions of human minds linking together in a carefully orchestrated symphony of consciousness. Sarah felt the connection flood through her, not overwhelming or chaotic as the consortium had feared, but harmonious and purposeful. Through the network, she could perceive the quantum anomaly clearly for the first time. It was vast beyond comprehension, a living void that consumed reality itself. But where the consortium saw only destruction, human consciousness could perceive patterns, intentions, possibilities. You don't understand what you're dealing with, Zelax warned, his translator struggling to convey his agitation. This entity has consumed entire civilizations. No, Sarah countered, her voice resonating with the collected knowledge of billions of networked minds. You don't understand what you're dealing with. Humanity isn't just another species to be contained and controlled. We're something new. As if to emphasize her point, the quantum neural network pulsed, sending a wave of conscious energy that caused Zelax's crystalline form to step back in shock. The patterns of human thought were visible now, dancing through the quantum field like aurora borealis. How is this possible? Zelax demanded. We suppressed your quantum technology. You suppressed our machines, Sarah corrected. But you couldn't suppress our minds, our creativity, our ability to adapt and evolve. While you were watching our technology, you missed our true power, our consciousness itself. The anomaly loomed closer, its presence now visible even to normal human senses as reality began to warp and bend. But humanity was ready, their networked consciousness reaching out to touch the very fabric of space-time itself. The true battle for survival was about to begin, and humanity's greatest weapon would not be found in their ships or their guns, but in the one thing the consortium had dismissed as primitive, the untapped potential of the human mind. As the quantum anomaly bore down upon the solar system, reality itself seemed to shudder. The consortium's mighty fleet, which had kept humanity contained for months, now hung motionless in space, their crystalline technology useless against a threat that existed beyond their comprehension. In the lunar facility, Sarah Chen stood at the heart of humanity's response. Through the quantum neural network, she could feel the consciousness of billions flowing through her like a vast ocean of thought and possibility. The sensation was beyond anything humans had experienced before, not a loss of individuality, but a profound expansion of it. The anomaly will reach Earth's orbit in 17 minutes, Araya announced, her artificial voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. High Commander Zelax, still present in the facility, watched in a mix of fear and fascination as humans worldwide entered a synchronized state of quantum consciousness. What do you hope to achieve? He demanded. This entity has consumed civilizations far more advanced than yours, more technologically advanced. Perhaps, Sarah corrected, her voice carrying the harmonic resonance of billions of networked minds. But they never understood what consciousness truly is. Its ability to shape reality itself. You saw our capacity for abstract thought as a primitive trait to be overcome. In truth, it was the key to everything. Through the network, Sarah could sense the final preparations being completed. In orbit, specially designed satellites, disguised from the consortium as weather monitoring stations, activated, creating a global field that would amplify humanity's collective consciousness to unprecedented levels. Admiral Chen's voice came through the quantum link, clear as thought itself. All stations report ready. The global quantum field is stable. We're as prepared as we'll ever be. The anomaly's approach had become visible to normal human sight now, a writhing darkness that consumed light itself. Through the neural network, humanity could perceive its true nature, a being of pure quantum potential, neither alive nor dead in any conventional sense, operating on principles that defied standard physics. But where the consortium saw only chaos, human consciousness could perceive patterns. Where their crystalline logic found only destruction, human intuition sensed possibility. The very traits the consortium had dismissed as primitive. Imagination, creativity, the ability to see connections where none seemed to exist, were humanity's greatest weapons. Now, Sarah commanded, and billions of human minds focused as one. The quantum neural network blazed with power, human consciousness expanding beyond physical limitations. Through their collective perception, they could see the anomaly for what it truly was, not a destroyer, but a transformer, a cosmic catalyst seeking connection. Kazara's holographic form appeared in the facility, her fluid features showing something akin to awe. "You've done it," she breathed. "You've actually done it. You're not just perceiving it, you're communicating with it." The anomaly's advance slowed as it encountered the field of human consciousness. Where it touched the quantum network, strange patterns emerged, not the destruction everyone had feared, but a complex dance of interaction. Human consciousness, with its unique capacity for paradox and possibility, could bridge the gap between normal spacetime and the anomaly's alien existence. High Commander Zilax's crystalline form vibrated with disbelief. "Impossible. Our greatest minds attempted communication for centuries." "Your mistake," Sarah explained. Her consciousness, both individual and part of the greater whole, was trying to communicate through logic and mathematics alone. This entity doesn't think in equations. It thinks in possibilities, in patterns, in the spaces between defined states. In other words, it thinks more like us than like you. Through the neural network, humanity began to understand. The anomaly wasn't a destroyer by nature. It was a refugee, a fragment of a universe that had existed before our own, seeking connection in the only way it knew how. Its consumption of other civilizations hadn't been an act of malice, but a desperate attempt to find consciousness that could comprehend its existence. As this understanding flowed through the network, humanity did something unprecedented. Instead of fighting or fleeing, they reached out. Billions of minds working in concert, offering not resistance but recognition, not fear but understanding. The effect was immediate and spectacular. The darkness that had threatened to consume their world began to change, responding to humanity's collective consciousness. Where it touched the quantum field generated by human minds, new patterns emerged, neither purely human nor purely alien, but something entirely new. "We're not just stopping it," Sarah realized, her voice filled with wonder. "We're transforming it, and it's transforming us." The consortium ships hung motionless in space, their crystalline crews watching in stunned silence as humanity achieved in minutes what their civilization had failed to do in millennia. The question was no longer whether humanity deserved a place among the stars. They had just redefined what that place could be. 1 year after the quantum anomaly event, the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Consortium looked very different. Where once crystalline beings had dominated the proceedings, now representatives of dozens of species sat together, including humans. The rigid hierarchy that had defined galactic civilization for millennia had been transformed, just as humanity had transformed their understanding of consciousness itself. Sarah Chen stood at the center of the chamber, her neural implants allowing her to perceive both the physical and quantum aspects of reality simultaneously. The quantum anomaly, now peacefully orbiting Earth's sun, had become a bridge between conventional spacetime and something far more profound. The human experiment has exceeded all parameters, former High Commander Zelax admitted, his crystalline form somehow humbler than before. We were wrong to attempt to contain your species' development. In trying to protect the galaxy, we nearly doomed it. The irony, Sarah responded, is that by trying to suppress us, you actually created the perfect conditions for our advancement. Necessity truly is the mother of invention. The chamber's holographic displays showed the changes spreading across the galaxy. The quantum neural network that humanity had developed had proven adaptable to other species, offering new ways of perceiving and interacting with reality. Even the crystalline consortium members, once so rigid in their thinking, were learning to expand their consciousness in ways they had never imagined possible. Admiral Chen, now Earth's representative to the new Galactic Council, stepped forward. The question before us today is not just about humanity's place in the galaxy. It's about how we move forward together. The quantum anomaly showed us that consciousness itself is far more fundamental to the universe than we had realized. Sarah, no longer in hiding but officially recognized as a pioneer in cross-species consciousness studies, added her perspective. What humanity achieved wasn't just first contact with a quantum entity. They demonstrated a new way of existing in the universe, one that bridges the gap between matter and consciousness, between individual and collective existence. The evidence of this transformation was visible throughout human space. The quantum neural network had evolved beyond its original purpose, becoming a new layer of reality where consciousness could directly interact with the quantum fabric of spacetime. Cities on Earth now existed simultaneously in physical space and in quantum reality, their architecture reflecting both material and conscious design. But perhaps our greatest discovery, Sarah continued, addressing the assembled representatives, was that consciousness itself is the universe's most powerful force, not as something to be controlled or suppressed, but as something to be understood and expanded. The quantum anomaly, once seen as a threat to all existence, had become a teacher. Through their interaction with it, humanity had learned that the universe was far stranger and more wonderful than anyone had imagined. Consciousness wasn't just an emergent property of complex brains. It was a fundamental force of reality itself, as essential as gravity or electromagnetism. We propose, Admiral Chen announced, the establishment of the Consciousness Exchange Program. Every species has its own unique way of perceiving and interacting with reality. By sharing these perspectives, we can all grow beyond our current limitations. The chamber erupted in discussion, but not in fear or rejection. The old order of the consortium had been based on control and hierarchy. The new galactic society emerging from humanity's revolution was based on something else, the recognition that diversity of consciousness was not a weakness to be managed, but a strength to be celebrated. There will be challenges ahead, Sarah acknowledged, feeling the quantum network pulse with the collective thoughts of billions across the galaxy. We're rewriting the fundamental rules of how intelligent life interacts with the universe. But together, we can achieve things that none of us could have imagined alone. As she spoke, the quantum anomaly sent a pulse of recognition through the network, not a message in any conventional sense, but a pattern of possibility that every connected consciousness could interpret in their own way. It was a reminder that the universe was vast beyond comprehension, filled with mysteries that could only be understood by minds willing to expand beyond their conventional limits. The silent stars were no longer silent. They spoke in quantum harmonies, in patterns of consciousness, in the endless dance of possibility and perception. Humanity had not just found its place among them. They had shown that the very concept of place and being could be transformed by the power of conscious observation and collective understanding. As the council session ended, Sarah looked out at the assembled representatives of a transformed galaxy and smiled. The consortium had feared humanity's potential, tried to contain it, only to discover that true power lay not in control, but in connection. The revolution they had sparked wasn't one of weapons or technology, but of consciousness itself, and its ripples would continue to transform the universe in ways that even humanity had yet to imagine. The story of humanity's first steps into the galaxy had become something far greater, the story of how consciousness itself evolved to its next level of existence. And this was just the beginning.